Hey everyone, welcome back to Analytics with Asmi. In today's video, we are diving into a crucial topic for everyone working with business data, which is how to calculate the average sales over a 3 months period. Whether you are tracking seasonal trends or simply trying to get a better understanding of your business short-term performance, knowing how to accurately calculate the average is a key. But there is a thing. There is more than one way to do it. So, in this video, I am going to walk you through 5 different methods to calculate the average sales for the last 3 months using DAX in Power BI. By end of this video, you will not only understand different approaches but also know when and why to use each one depending on your business needs. So let's get started and take your data analysis skills to next level. First, let us understand our data. I have opened the Power BI desktop here, and in the data view, we can see our data. Here we can see we have 3 columns. I have created a demo data here. Okay, so we have a order date where we have a date from May to November. So here date is in format of month, day and year. Okay, so we can see our dates are from May 1st to 15th of September. Okay, and then we have a sales amount for different dates here, and we have a region column here. So here we are going to calculate a average sales for last 3 months. So last 3 months are November, August and July. So we are going to calculate a average sale from July to November here. So depending upon the different business needs, we are going to see 5 different methods to calculate the average sales for last 3 months. Now let's see how we can do that. In a table, you can see that I have taken the date and sales amount so that it will be easy for you to understand the things. So the first approach in which we are using the calculate function, averageX and the Datesinperiod. Okay, so I have already created all the DAX here. Okay, all 5 approaches. So let's see the first approach. Okay, so if we see this first approach, here you can see I have used the calculate, averageX and Datesinperiod. Okay, so this approach calculates the average sales for last 3 months by directly filtering the date range using the Datesinperiod. Okay, so let's break down this and let's understand how we have created this DAX. Okay, so here in the Datesinperiod we have used the max function. Okay, so what max is doing here? So here you can see that max sales order date. So we have put our order date in this max function. Okay, so this find the latest date in your sales data. Okay, for example, in our data, the latest date is 15th November. Okay, so it will return the 15th November. Now, if you don't know what is Datesinperiod, so let us understand what is Datesinperiod. So Datesinperiod returns the dates from a given period. So here we have to use these 4 parameters. Okay, so first is date, then start date, then number of intervals and interval. So here in our DAX function, we have used Datesinperiod. Okay, so first parameter is date. So we have put our order date here. Start date. Okay, so it is starting from max. So our the latest date, which is the 15th November, it will start from this. Okay, and the interval we have used the -3 because we want last 3 months data. Okay, and interval we have put here months as we are calculating for the 3 months. Okay, so here these are these 4 parameters: start date, date expression, number of intervals, and the interval you can put year, quarter, month and day. Here we are putting the month. So here Datesinperiod creates a range of dates here starting from the latest date, which is the 15th of September and going back 3 months. Okay, this would include the dates from 15th September to 1st of July. Understood? Now let's see what we have in that the calculate applies the filter to this Datesinperiod to sales table. Means it only considers sales that occurred between the 1st July to the 15th September. Okay, now here we can see that we have used here the averageX. So average, it calculates the average of sales amount for these filter dates. Clear? Know what is averageX? So averageX is a iterator function. Okay, so it acts on row by row. So it calculates the average, means arithmetic mean of a set of expression evaluated over a table. So we have already created a table range from 1st July to 15th September. So it will act row by row and calculate the average here. So averageX function enables you to evaluate the expression for each row for a table and then take the resulting set of values and calculate the arithmetic mean. So in the current scenario also we have used the averageX, where we have used the sales table and the sales amount here. I hope you have understood how we have calculated the average sales for last 3 months using calculate, averageX and Datesinperiod. Now let's take this in a card. So if we drag this here, you can see that we are getting a value of 933.33, which is the average sales for 3 months. So what is happening here? It is adding these 6 rows, okay, from 15th September to 1st of July, okay, means it is here it's adding 800 plus 600 plus 900 plus 1100 plus 1000 plus 1200 divided by 6. Why we are dividing it by 6? Because we have used here the averageX, which is acting row by row. So here 6 rows are there, that's why we are dividing it with the 6. Okay, so if we open the calculator here, you can see that, okay, by adding from this 800 to 1200, it's coming as a 5600. Okay, 5600 divided by 6. Okay, we are getting 933.33, which is a average sales for 3 months. One more thing I want to mention here, even if you are not using the calculate function, even if you are just using this averageX, okay, so averageX, in averageX we are using the 2 parameters, right, table and sales amount. Okay, so here you can see that this is a table created by Datesinperiod, okay, where we have a dates from 1st July to 15th of September, and we have used the total sales here. So even if you are using the averageX and Datesinperiod, you will get a same result. Okay, now if you can see that if I drag this here, I am getting a same result. Okay, so by using the calculate function also you can get the same result, and by using the averageX and Datesinperiod you are getting the same result. Okay, now let's see the second approach. Now we don't want a rolling 3 months, just want to calculate the average of full month. We can do it by using a divide function. So here in the second measure you can see that I have used the divide function. So in divide function you need 2 parameters, numerator and the denominator. Okay, so here first we have calculated the total sales for all the 3 months by using the calculate and Datesinperiod, and in the denominator we are dividing it with the 3. Okay, so by using the divide function also we can calculate the average sales for the full 3 months. Okay, now if we drag this here, okay, if we drag this in a card, here you can see we are getting a different value. It's not 933.33. Why we are getting different value here? Let me explain it. Here we are getting a different answer because this approach calculates the total sales for last 3 months first and then divide it by the total number of months. Here you can see we have divided with the number of months, which is the 3. That's why we are getting a different answer, 1866.67. Okay, hope you understood. So whenever you want to calculate for full months, okay, you don't want to go row by row, then you can use this divide function and you can get the average sales for 3 months. Before we dive into the next method, I want to take you a quick moment to share something exciting with you all. If you are serious about mastering the data analytics and want to build a strong foundation in tools like Excel, SQL and Power BI along with a solid understanding of statistics, then I have got something for you. I am happy to announce my next batch of my comprehensive data analytics course, which is starting soon. This course is designed to take you from beginner to pro, with in-depth lessons and hands-on assignments and real-time projects that mirror what you will encounter in real data industry. If you want to supercharge your data analytics career, then join this course. Please fill the Google form which is given in the description box. I will send you all course details. So check out the link given in the description to learn more and enroll today. I can't wait to see you there. Now let's move to the third approach, which is using calculate, average, Dateadd and Datebetween. Okay, here you can see we have used these 4 functions. So this approach uses Dateadd function to shift the date range by 3 months and calculate the average sale within that range using the Datebetween. Now if you don't know what is the Datebetween and Dateadd, first let us understand what these 2 functions are doing. Dateadd function returns a table that contains a column of dates shifted either forward or backward in time by a specified number of intervals from the dates in the current context. So the syntax for that is Dateadd, and here we are adding these 3 parameters. First is date. So here we have to put a date column, then number of intervals and the interval. So in our scenario, we are just shifting the context of dates by -3 months. That's why here we can see that we are writing here -3 months from the last date in our data. So last date is giving us a last date, which is the 15th of September. Okay, and it is shifting by -3 months. That's why here we have used a Dateadd function. Here we have used another function which is a Datebetween. Datebetween, what Datebetween is doing? Datebetween is giving you the dates including the both start date and end date. Let us understand what is that first. Datebetween returns a table that contains a column of a date that begins with a start date and continues until the end date. The syntax is Datebetween. Here we have a 3 parameter dates, okay, then start date and end date. So the date used here as a start date and end date are inclusive. So here we have to mention the start date and end date both. Suppose if the sale occur on the October 1 and December 31st, then you have to specify October 1 as a start date and December 31st as a end date. Then sales on October 1 and December 31st are counted. Okay, so there is one major difference between the dates in between and dates in period. Dates in between gives you dates inclusive of the both start date and end date, whereas date in period is giving you a period of a dates, okay, and excluding the unwanted dates. So in dates in period we are just mentioning the period here, but here we have to mention the dates. So whenever in your scenario or business case, if they are mentioning their dates are mentioned, then you have to use this Datebetween function. Okay, so in our measure we have used Datebetween. Then first parameter is date, so here we have put a date column. Then start date. For start date we have used the Dateadd function, which is shifting our date by -3 months. Okay, and end date is our last date. Last date function is giving us a recent date, which is a 15th of September. So now let us understand the third approach again. Okay, here we have used all these 4 functions: calculate, average, Datesbetween and Dateadd and last date. So here last date giving you the most recent date in your data, which becomes your end of your range, which is our 15th September, which will be our end date, right? And the Datesbetween creates a dates from a start date to end date. So here in the Datesbetween we have used this 3 parameter date, then start date and end date, right? Calculate, here calculate takes the date range and applies the filter to the sales table, and here average computes the average sales for the data within this filter date range. Okay, now in our data, now if I drag this here you can see that we are getting the 857.14. So here we have given the range from this 15th of September to 15th of this July. Okay, so here we can see that we have given the 7 rows here. That's why we are getting here 857.17. Okay, as we have mentioned here the start date and end dates. Our start date is 15th November and our end date here is the 15th of July. That's why again we are getting a different average. So when to use this Datebetween and dates in period? I am telling you again, when you have a start date and end date and you want to get all dates in that period, Datesbetween is definitely a good function to use in this situation. But when you don't have both ends of a period, you just have a one and have the interval, then in that case the period is your best friend. So Datesbetween gives you dates from start to end date, and dates in period will give you an interval of dates from a particular period. Each function has its own usage, so according to your requirement and situation you have to use it. Now let us see the fourth approach, which is an alternative approach for the full calendar months. So whenever you want again a full calendar month, then you can use this approach. So here what we are using, here we are using the Eomonth. Eomonth means end of the months. So first let us understand what this function does. So end of the month function returns the date in a date and time format. So it always return in a date and time format of a last day of a month. That's why it is called as a end of a month, before or after a specified number of months. So syntax is Eomonth, then here you have to mention the date, and then here you have to mention the specified number of months. So here for the example you can see that end of the month date, here it is given 2016 4th and 5. So 5th of April 2016. And in the second parameter 5 is mentioned, which is a 5 months. So the end of the month will return this 30th September 2016. So from April we are going to the September, okay, and which is returning the last date of this September. So end of the month is giving the last date, which is for the specified number of months. So if you want to calculate the average sales for the last 3 full calendar months, that is from July, August, September, you have to use this Eomonth approach. So here what it is done, so here we have used the Eomonth for the max order date. So max order date will give you the last date, and it is going back to -3. So it will go to the June. So June, 30th June. Okay, but we want from 1st July. So we have added here +1, which will give you the date 1st July 2024. Okay, and here you can see that it is giving you the again max date which is a 15th September, and here we have not mentioned, here we have written the 0. So it is creating a date range from 1st July to 15th of September. So here in the Datebetween function we have 3 parameters. One is date, start date and end date. So this is our date, this will be our start date, which is a 1st July, and this will our end date, which is our 15th September. Okay, now let's drag this in a card. Okay, here you can see we are getting 933.33, which is the average sales for last 3 months. The last and the fifth approach is using a custom date table. So whenever you are dealing with the time intelligence function, you must have a date table in your data. Okay, now here I have created this date table. Here you can see that this is a date table which I have created. So if you have a custom date table, you can use it to filter the last 3 months more explicitly. Now here this is our measure which I have created. Okay, so this approach uses a custom date table to filter the dates explicitly between the end of the month 3 months ago and the max date in the data. So here again I have used the calculate function, averageX, and here 2 more functions I have used, filter and all. First let us see what these 2 functions doing here in this measure. So the filter function is returning a table containing only the filtered rows. So here you can see it is filtering our rows here. Okay, syntax is filter. Here you have to mention only the 2 parameters, table and filter. So the table is this, and this is our filter which we have mentioned here. So table, here table is table to be filtered. Table can also be the expression that results in a table. Okay, and filter is a boolean expression that is to be evaluated for each row of a table. Now here all function we have using, what all function is doing, it will return all the row in a table or all values in a column, ignoring any filter that might have applied to the table. So this function is useful for clearing all the filters and creating calculation on all the rows in a table. So we have used this all function so that we should get all the date present in this date table. Okay, and here we have used this date table greater than start date, date table less than end date. So this max will give you the end date, and here again EO function with max -3 plus 1 means it will give you the 30th June, plus 1 means 1st of July. So it will give you the start date and this will give you the end date. So we are filtering all these row, okay, from start date to end date, and ignoring any filter which is applied to the date table. So going back to our final measure, which is the fifth approach using the calculate, average, filter and all. So here calculate function changes the context of the calculation. In this case, it adjusts the context of the averageX to consider only dates with the last 3 months. Then averageX is iterative function which evaluates an expression. In this case, it is for the sales amount for each row of the sales table and returns the average for those values. Then we are using the filter function, okay, which is filtering the date from the start date and end date, and here we have used the all function which is ignoring any filter applied to this date table. So finally, if we drag this measure, here you can see we are getting the 933.33, which is a average sales for last 3 months. So this is all about this video. Today we have seen 5 different approaches to calculate the average sales for 3 months depending on different business needs. I will be creating more such videos if you like it. So if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. See you in the next video. Thank you for watching.